At one recent show, comedian Steve Hofstetter was asked this by a member of the audience.
I support everyone's identity regardless if it makes sense to me or not. So my question is, dissociative identity disorder, formerly multiple personality disorder, is considered to be just that, a mental disorder. What makes that different from transgender, non-binary people? Specifically non-binary individuals who identify as they, them.
Okay. First of all, they, them can be singular or plural, and the people who argue that it's always plural don't understand basic grammar. What makes it different is the people who spend their lives studying this and are experts on this say that it is different, and I trust them to know more about a subject that I don't know.
It is almost crazy to ponder how so many have lost the plot to actual experts that study these things for a living because an unqualified person states the opposite. More from Steve.
If you don't trust the entire medical industry to be telling you the truth about that, then you should take your car to a florist the next time it breaks down. Because if you don't trust experts on one thing, why would you trust them on something else? And the fact of the matter is, we need to trust people who have spent their whole adult lives researching something rather than a meme you see once.
He's spot on here. What troubles me is how many people we have lost to this anti-science groupthink in a post-COVID world. And to be clear, COVID is not over. We just pretend like it's over. At this juncture, 1 in 4 Americans do not trust the science from those in the medical field. That's per the Pew Research Center. From climate change to vaccines, 48% of Americans believe that scientists should stay out of public policy debates along political lines. Not that there should only be 2 major parties in this country, let me be clear. It is eerily similar to the policy positions at play and those who make them. More than 50% of Republican voters surveyed do not view scientists as honest, nor do they think scientists are problem solvers. And they gave an even lower score on the topic of being a good communicator. In addition, 64% of conservatives say scientists should stay out of policy debates, which is absurd, and more say they currently have too much rather than not enough policy influence, 34 to 22%. Another 43% describe their influence as about right. Meanwhile, 2/3 of Dems say scientists should be active in policy debates on scientific issues, and 61% say they currently don't have enough influence in shaping policy. This is largely how we elected a president for the second time who can't pronounce the word orange, botches a pandemic, and have someone leading Health and Human Services who has a literal brainworm.
I didn't fully understand dissociative disorder until I met someone who had it, because the way that it's portrayed on TV is utterly ridiculous. But I met a fan who had that and had a caretaker with her because she could become dangerous to herself. And I was talking to her and I had stepped away and I came back and she didn't know that I was there yet. I was walking up behind where they were and she was speaking as if she was like a small child. And then when she realized that I was there again, she kind of shook it off and apologized, like, I didn't want you to see that, that's so embarrassing. And I was like, no, I get that this is something that you're fighting. And it was a lot for me to process because it's not something I had ever seen before. And when you see something that you've never seen before, it takes a while for you to understand it. And I think that that's what's happening now. I think that for the first time, there are a lot of people who are seeing a different gender identity than they understand. And so their first reaction is going, no, that's not a thing. And then if it actually is someone in their life and someone they're talking to, then they start to understand a little bit more.
I agree with this. I agree with what Steve is saying about how our initial reaction to seeing something that we don't understand, to try and play off of those instincts when really what it requires internally for all of us is less judgment and more patience.
And so I think that what we know as a society right now is very different than what we'll know in 5 years or 10 years or 1 year if they close all the schools. But like, it is something that I don't fault people for having trouble grasping immediately. Every one of us had that moment. Every one of us, anyone who pretends that they got it the second they were told it the first time is lying. Because anything that is different to us, it takes a little bit to process.
This is what really gets me in closing. Steve Hofstetter is someone who is clearly brilliant, but he also relies upon people who dedicate their entire lives to studying something so we are a better educated society on the topic. And what we are seeing right now is anti-intellectualism. This movement is taking place. And I actually discussed this with Jamil Hill on my podcast, The Rick Strom Show. You all should check it out. And what she said is, this is, and I'm summarizing, the meta. This is the stuff right now. Oh, you want someone who is qualified? Let's go with the guy who's not qualified. Oh, this person studied a certain topic and should probably not only be nominated, but we should listen to what they have to say. No, let's go with the guy who is cat turd on Twitter because he has an opinion that's the opposite of someone who has degrees studying this. That is where we are at. It's a byproduct, by the way, of social media. I want to be very clear about this. Social media can be good for so many ways, and off topic, but somewhat related. I saw a video playing off the TikTok trend of like gingers are black people. One TikTok user was talking about Blake and how Blake passed away when they were in like 3rd grade. And the power of social media came into play where she reached Blake's mom. They haven't spoken for 20 years, 20 plus years. And then they did. And Blake's mom kept all of his stuff and sent her a photo. If you have a soul, you felt it. It tugged at your heartstrings. That is the power of social media for good. And then you have DC Drano and Jack Posobiec and people who are influencing policy, who not only have ties to foreign dictators and the Shmuanon movement and push Pizzagate, but are avowed white nationalists. It's a gift and a curse. Because what, I'm gonna be clear, many of these platforms have enabled is this hate, because that is what their algorithms push. You could watch something that maybe you weren't even interested in after you viewed it for a minute. You're like, no, I don't agree with this. I'm going to click off. But it was a Ben Shapiro video. Or you didn't know who Ben Shapiro was and you just clicked on it because you had no idea. Or it was an Asmongold video. You had no idea, so you clicked on it. And you hated it, so you clicked off. Their algorithms are then going to push more of that content to you, whether you liked it or not. At that point, you are enslaved to their algorithms. And if you see an Andrew Tate video, as Hassan even talked about on The Daily Show with Jordan Klepper, it's just going to keep pushing it over and over and over, this misogynistic perspective. So if someone logs on and they see something that they could possibly partially slightly believe about COVID or about something RFK says that they take at face value, even though it is a bold-faced lie, then they'll keep pushing it over and over, because what the algorithms want to do is keep you there. And they think feeding you more of that content is going to keep you there. Your eyeballs are their attention and their currency. It's just amazing. It really is how we all viewed this sort of stuff, science on the topic, to be a thing for good. And now what we have taking place in large swaths of this country is the opposite. Is no, I know better on how to treat this than a medical professional. It's wild. And it's also microcosmic of how we got here. Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please do become a channel member by going to youtube.com/TYT Sports and clicking the join button. If that's too much for you, you can just go to tyt.com/join to become a member. It helps all of us out here at the Young Turks and keeps our network afloat. In addition, you could follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate the love. Have a great day.